morning from my driver's seat. I'm picking up a load of steel, I believe, because I'm at a steel plant. And every time. This load is being relayed through our home terminal in Indiana, and I put a call in to the fleet managers to ask if they could send me to the drop-off for this one, to the delivery all the way, because it's going to Bedford, Pennsylvania. I just would like a change of scenery, even though going east is always like a little risky, but Pennsylvania hasn't been too bad for me. I haven't had such a struggle finding places to stop there. I just don't really want to go farther east than that. I don't want to go into Maryland, which isn't too far away, and I was like, I wonder if that's not a good idea to ask that, because then they could be like, well, in order to get you back, we need to grab this load over in Maryland or something like that. So it's a little bit risky. I don't even know if they'll send me, because it might not work based on whenever this load has to be in Pennsylvania. We'll see, but I thought it would be nice to ask. So yesterday my truck was doing the, I need to come up with a clever name for this, like the Cascadia sensor hoedown. I don't know, it doesn't sound right. Anyway, the Cascadia sensor extravaganza, let's call it that. How about that? And I was like, what is going on here? And it seems like every time it snows or I'm in like extreme cold weather, all the sensors start going off. So what sucks about that is it's like the Cascadia that cried wolf. You don't know if there's really something going wrong until you start having like symptoms of something being wrong, but the sensors are all wonky, so you can't trust them. I always like err on the side of, let me wait and see what happens. Let me try doing a battery reset. So you disconnect the battery for 21 minutes, and sometimes it works on the first try and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes they'll all come back on again. And I also noticed the thing that'll trip the sensors is when I get on a scale, or like when I first slide the tandems. I guess it's the moving of the tandems that seems to do it. So that makes me even more so question the sensors, because I'm like, well, you're just getting confused. Like, what is with you? So it kept doing it, and then yesterday it started doing something even more weird. So it was showing all these sensors, like all of the sensors basically, and then it'll have a yellow, like on the main center screen panel thing, it'll say ABS not functioning or something like that. It'll say ABS not working, service immediately, or something like that. And you would think that I would be like, oh, I better check on that right away, but because of all this crying of wolf, I just am like, no, you're lying. I don't believe you. Let me see how you ride for a minute and make sure. And it's fine, right? But it kept doing it. And then yesterday, I'm worried that someone's going to watch this and be like, she's an irresponsible driver. But if you had the same experience I have with this and talking to the mechanics about it and how nonchalant they tend to be about it, that's why I tend to err on the side of, let me not waste their time, let me not waste my time, and just let's not do that when it's not necessary. But this time it was necessary. So it turned out there was water in the ABS sensor, and that was like making it freak out. But before I discovered that, the thing that led me to be like, I definitely need to go get this checked out, is I was having a hard time accelerating from a stop, especially on a slight incline with an empty trailer. And I was like, what the heck is going on here? It was like stuttering, and it was slightly rolling back. I was like, oh, okay, we can't ignore that. We're gonna have to get that checked out. And I did a couple resets, and it would like, all the sensors would turn off, and I'd be like, okay, it was a false alarm. And then a little bit later, it's like, just kidding, and they all came back on. So, you know, it's frustrating, and you never want to take time unnecessarily for something like that. So you have to just pay attention to what the truck is doing. And obviously, if you really aren't sure, you have to get service. They're loading my truck, and they left the green light on, so I hope they're going to let me know when they're done. I'm just going to have to go by feel maybe, but it's a beautiful morning in Wisconsin. It was this absolutely gorgeous pastel colored sunrise, and as I was driving, I was like, I got to get the sticky thing. The reason I haven't been showing any more outward footage since the one video where I showed some outward facing driving footage is because there's a adhesive that holds the GoPro in place, and that came loose. And I think the reason it came loose is that I have to have a vaporizer in my truck to humidify the air. Especially, it wasn't so bad in the summer months, but in the winter it is unbearably dry in the truck. And it's different than being in a house, or in like an apartment or something. It's so much more dry. I don't know why that is exactly, but it's intolerable and you'll wake up feeling like you're in a desert. And so I used that, and I think that sort of like steamed the adhesive off of the GoPro thing. So hopefully I can get it to stay and get some more nice outward facing footage for you guys. But anyway, that's all I got for this morning. So let's hope the rest of the day goes nice and smooth. Howdy friends, I just arrived at my delivery in Pennsylvania. It's been a beautiful day. What a gorgeous drive, and a real easy one because this place that I'm at is right off the Penna Turnpike. I'm gonna go check in real quick. I think that dock door is the only door, or is the door I need to get into, and I'm just gonna have to pull in here and then back that way, which shouldn't be too bad. So all the driver notes were like, this place is really tight, but what's funny is it's not that tight. It's that when there's so many, like there's these big old cranes and like all this equipment around, and when you see that stuff around you, it like visually makes it feel tighter than it actually is. I don't think it's too bad, so we'll see. All right, showing you from my vantage point. I was trying not to show my truck obviously, but I gotta back in that door right there, and I gotta go through, pull forward into here, and then back around that, sort of like where I was about to point, but it didn't work. Where the porta-john is, basically. Not too bad, you know, there's room. All right, so that was cool. I got right in there. It took me 5 minutes maybe. And this isn't something I'm saying like, because I think it's great to not get out and look, because especially the less experienced you are, but not always, just anybody sometimes needs to get out and look. But I like the fact that I've gotten good enough at sizing up a space to be able to tell. Sometimes I know where I'm at. I know I have enough room, and I don't get out and look every time, which maybe shouldn't say because it can seem kind of irresponsible. But I felt comfortable, and I got in here real quick, no problem. Had to pull forward once or twice. Sometimes it's more than that. It just depends on the day. One of the frequent things that I don't get right when I'm backing, that I think is probably a common rookie kind of mistake, is I still have a tendency to be watching the back of the trailer instead of watching the tandems. And I think that's a really common thing to do. I'm looking at where the back of the trailer is going, but the tandems are going to dictate where I actually line up. So a lot of times that's when I end up having to pull forward and adjust myself because I was lining up with the wrong sight line, I guess. This place is interesting though, and it should be a pretty quick unload. It was a quick load in. This is only like a 2,500 pound load, so company's happy, I'm sure, because this didn't eat up a bunch of fuel to get this here. And I don't know where I'm going next. I got to take a look because they put a load on me and then they like immediately took it off earlier. So we'll take a look and see what's going on with that. But nice smooth morning so far, can't complain. Good morning, friends. I'm just burning a little sage in my truck. I know that might look totally weird. This is a cup with a little bit of water, and I just kind of do this. I don't do this very often, but it's a rainy day. I'm at an unload that's going to take quite a while, and I love as the kids might say, I love a sage moment on a rainy day. I'm not thinking there's evil spirits in my truck, although you never know. No, my truck's pretty okay. I'm not too worried about that. I just really find this comforting. So do a little saging, and I'm making a green tea at the same time. I'm just having a nice, enjoyable rainy morning. I don't mind it too much. And then I just do this. And there's no fire. Nothing bad happened. Just a quick little update from this pickup in Missouri, and it's so pretty out now, and this is after a storm and some really kind of nerve-wracking driving. And I just want to take a minute to say, like, what a good feeling it is when you've been driving in some sort of harrowing weather and you've felt some instances of what could have turned into an accident, but because you were traveling at a safe speed, because you were attentive to what was going on, you made it through, and now you're in nice weather and you can breathe a sigh of relief and know that hopefully the rest of your trip will be a little bit less stressful than it was earlier. So to give context, I was driving an empty trailer from Effingham, Illinois to where am I in Missouri? I'm in a small town in Missouri, somewhere in Missouri. How about that? And it was not a great time to be hauling an empty because it was really windy and raining really hard. And my company is really good about telling us, like, this is one of the positives of working for a large carrier. They're like, I got multiple messages and a phone call saying, if you feel like it's not safe, get off the road. Like they don't mess around with that at all. And I'm really glad to know that they have my back. They trust my decision making. They also congratulated me on yesterday being my 6 months at this company. So I'm proud of myself. I made it through some challenges and I've stuck with it for a period of time for you know, better or worse. But today I had an experience on the road that I've had a couple of times now, and it makes you realize how very easy it would be to jackknife if you're not doing the right thing and if you don't react correctly in a matter of seconds. And that is where you feel the front. What has happened to me every time is I feel my tractor starting, the front driver's side of my tractor starting to pull to the left, and I feel the back driver's side of my trailer also starting to pull to the left. So I'm feeling the very beginning of what would become a jackknife if I were to stay on the power, if I were to brake. And all you can do in those moments is continue steering and get off the power and not brake, not do anything, just steer and breathe. And it is extremely scary when it happens, even if it's just for a second, especially if you're like in any kind of a decline going down a hill. And it's happened now in rainy conditions and icy, snowy conditions, and it's usually with wind and like a light load. I've had too many light loads lately. Like, please feel free to give me a heavy ass load. It'll be way less nerve-wracking. But I am really glad that in those moments, like, I trust myself to handle it correctly. And like when it happens, your whole body lights up like with adrenaline. It's just like whoosh. It just comes over you and you feel like your heart rate kind of elevated for the next couple of minutes, and you just talk yourself through it and you're like, okay, we're good, we're okay, everything's fine. But these vehicles are cumbersome, they're awkward, they don't do well with quick changes, and they don't handle bad weather very well, especially when they're empty, when you have an empty trailer, or if you're in certain conditions and you're heavy. It depends on what's going on. So I'm also really grateful that a lot of the car drivers around me today have been safe drivers. Thank goodness, because the combination of bad weather and aggressive driving by cars and trucks is a recipe for disaster, and that's not an exaggeration. So fingers crossed, the rest of my trip remained as safe as the first part.